Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you understand how grateful I am for our channel. Yes, big fake couch. Please come with me today in honor of, oh, by the way, happy Remembrance Weekend. Looking forward to watching the festival tonight, and of course the super emotional. Well, tonight's going to be a tearjerker, an emotional one. It's World War II, the ending, D-Day. I don't know if they're doing a D-Day. I kind of just briefly looked at the program, and maybe we can look at it together. It's going to be just a wonderful weekend, and it really fills you up with, being grateful and just thankful. And it's always something that I look forward to seeing because it just, gets me grounded in with the crazy world that we're all in. What's really important, and to honor those before us that gave everything for it's hard to put into words what this weekend is about. And one of the greatest things about our channel, and for me personally, I'm just speaking personally, was when I started, was introduced to what this weekend's about, and being able to see a lot of this stuff. It's just been just amazing. So that I want to say thank you to all of you. I've got two links below. I'm going to get through this quickly. Robslondon is the channel. This has come requested. We haven't watched one of his in a while. So this is on Bletchley Park, and the history of it I'm gathering, which of course code breaking and the breaking of the enigma and all that wonderful stuff. I say this every time, but no, it was not Matthew McConaughey. He was not. It wasn't an American. I understand that. You don't have to bring it up, but somebody will. But it's funny. But I've got two links below. One to Rob's channel and one to this video. Please, if you have one like or one subscription to give today, I encourage you to go give it to Robslondon and on his channel. Support the original content creator. I mean, obviously, if you have extras, because that's what YouTube kind of forces us to ask for. But I'm saying you don't have to give it to our channel. Go give it to the original content creator, because without them, right, we are kind of not able to do what we're doing. So, and that's learning. So go support Rob over on his channel. With that said, yes, tonight we'll be watching, not sure if my son's got a game today, and so I think it's 1 o'clock, 9 o'clock your time, 1 o'clock my time. Let's, I think I'm going to jump out here, and I'm going to take a look at, let's see here, I'm jumping out. Okay, here's the program. And it starts at 9 o'clock, I believe, your time, which is 1 o'clock my time. I'm going to be out of the house. I'm not going to be, so I'm going to probably catch this later on, maybe either tonight or tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have it up on the channel this week. So cool. So it is entry of the standards. This is something they do right every time. Please stand. The king and queen show up. Always a cool moment. And we're remembering the Second World War. So this is going to be really cool. Rod Stewart. Sir Rod Stewart. Sentimental journey. I love the music. I love the performances that they have. It's always really, really enjoyable. Some of them are just so emotional. It's tough. Celebration of veterans who helped secure the peace 80 years ago. That's Battle of Britain. Tribute to the RAF. Nice. This is going to be great. Central Band of the Royal Air Force and King's Color Squadron performed Their Kingdom, the Air, composed by Sergeant Jonathan Reed, as Douglas Booth recites High Flight by John Gillespie McGee Jr. A lot of this, of course, a lot of the songs I don't think I'll hear before. A lot of the people singing. Sometimes I don't know who they are, but it's always wonderful. But yes, I've heard of Rod Stewart, of course. The High Flight, I'm not sure if I've know of that. Reflections on the end of the Second World War, nice. Veterans remember, oh, that's going to be awesome. And then Hannah Waddingham. Hey, Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso fame. I love her. She's great. We'll Meet Again. Now, We'll Meet Again. That's a... oh, gosh dang it. How do I forget her name? Lynn? Oh, I'm so terrible. My memory is so bad. I gotta. Vera Lynn, thank you. Gosh dang it. Vera Lynn, I'm so sorry. My memory is such crap. But I have heard Vera Lynn's version of that. It's amazing. And I'm sure Hannah is going to nail it. She's an amazing singer herself. And then Salute to the Veterans. Oh, that's going to be emotional. I'm already starting to get a little choked up just thinking how emotional it's going to be. So Rod Stewart back with the bands of Majesty Royal Marines, nice household division, and Royal Air Force performs Sailing. I'm not sure if I know that one. And here's the thing, the name doesn't, as you can tell, my memory ain't great, but then once I hear the music, they're like, yeah, I think I've heard that before. Then the entrance of the pensioners. It's always a good moment. Oh, yeah, I cannot wait to watch this. This is going to be great. Yes, Royal Marines and the Wellermen. The Wellermen perform the Knights. I'm not sure who the Wellermen. I don't know if I'm familiar with them. Tribute to the Oh, this is gonna be a tearjerker. I'm gonna definitely have some tissue on hand, like I normally do, because I don't have an issue with letting the tears go. That's for sure. Private Paul Aiken, Low, 1st Battalion, the Black Watch. Okay, entrance of the bereaved families. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's always a tough one. The Bach Choir performs A Day May Come. Not sure. It kind of sounds familiar, that song title. That's always good. Marking 25 years since the ban on gay personnel serving in the armed forces was lifted. Okay, that's cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a monumental moment, sure. I hope they take the time to honor Alan Turing at some point during this section of the performance of the evening. That dude was instrumental, so important. So hopefully he gets some love for sure. Blessings, Blessing 04? Ofer? I don't know how. Performs Brighter Days. The drumlaying is always a cool segment. And then you get to see them all walk in. Yeah, so cool. Of course, the Navy always starts, then the Army, And the Air Force, Merchant Navy, cannot forget them at all. And then, of course, the British Legion, they come on in at civilian services, all important, cannot forget. And then the Book of Remembrance is always, when they lay that on there, is always really cool. I remember the first time watching that, I was like, the significance of that. And I think I watched it before I really even knew anything. And Lenin and Ruby, accompanied by other bereaved young people. Lenin and Ruby, I don't think I know who they are. From Scotty's Little Soldiers, cool. Sam Ryder, now that name sounds familiar. Go Steady. And then, of course, we finish up the service portion of the night, and we have, of course, last post where the petals drop, right? That's so cool. And we finish up with the national anthem. So yeah, should be a cool night. I'm going to go ahead and just get over to the video. Thank you again for coming and hanging out. I am so blessed to have all of you with us today. And this is Bletchley Park. Use the links, go support the original content creator, and let's get into the video.
Hello, and thanks for stopping by. Today, I'm in Bletchley, which, if you take a fast train from Euston, is just under 40 minutes from central London.
It's not
These
far.
days, the area feels quite built up, and indeed, Bletchley is now classed as part of the new city of Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes.
Not so long ago, though, this corner of North Buckinghamshire was quiet and rural, home to a country estate known as Bletchley Park, a place once associated with fete, hunting, and other leisurely pursuits. If you hear the words Bletchley Park today, though, they're more likely to evoke the Second World War, for it was here, between 1939 and
Home of the
1945,
Codebreakers.
that millions of encrypted enemy messages were painstakingly decoded and analysed, a vast secret effort that proved crucial to the Allied victory. As Churchill himself would later say, Bletchley's Codebreakers were the geese who laid the golden eggs and never cackled.
Never cackled. Yes.
Although
yes, they were.
shrouded in the utmost secrecy, Bletchley Park was a major operation, and at its peak, some 9,000 people worked here, 3/4 of them women.
Wow. I had no idea it was that many.
Today, the site is a museum, and a very large one at that. Exploring it feels like wandering through a small village. And in this video, I'd like to take you on a tour of Bletchley Park, highlighting fascinating items and sharing the story of the codebreakers who worked here as we go along.
Wow. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty
So
cool
then,
to see.
let's go and see what we can find. Bletchley Park was first established as a country estate in the late 18th century. The first property to stand here was a manor house known as Water Hall. This early building was demolished in the late 19th century, and the current mansion, which now forms the centrepiece of Bletchley Park, was built by the architect Samuel Seckham in 1877. In 1883, the estate was purchased by the Liberal Party politician Sir Herbert Lyon, who set about adding a variety of eclectic features to the building,
Wow.
turning the mansion into a striking and sometimes bewildering mix of architectural styles. Sir Herbert Lyon died in 1926, and when his widow passed away in 1937, Bletchley Park came up for sale. Initially, the land was purchased by a property developer named Captain Hubert Faulkner, who planned to demolish the mansion and build a new housing estate. By this point, however, a major war was brewing on the horizon, and in London, Admiral Hugh Sinclair, head of the Secret Intelligence Service, was looking to move his department out of the capital, which was likely to face heavy bombing in the event of war. In his search for a new location, Admiral Sinclair came across Bletchley Park, which struck him as perfect.
Yeah,
Although
that
in a
is.
safe,
I'm going to go back here. Yeah, you got London, of course. Where's my mouse? I don't know if you can see it. It's in the red dot here now. London, of course, down this way. So yeah, that's more inland, center of the country. Less likely, unless, of course, they were somehow to know where it was to be struck. So yeah, makes perfect sense.
Bletchley Park, which struck him as perfect. Although in a safe, rural location, it was still well connected to London and other major cities thanks to the nearby A5 road and the London to Glasgow railway line, which passes right through Bletchley.
Huh.
In those days, Bletchley also lay on the so-called Varsity line, which connected Oxford and Cambridge, two universities from which many of those employed at Bletchley would be recruited. Furthermore, Bletchley was also close to the Fenny Stratford repeater station, that being an early telecommunications facility that provided direct access to the nation's network of communications cables. Upon finding this gem, Admiral Sinclair wasted no time and snapped up Bletchley Park for £6,000, roughly £360,000 in today's money, which, to be honest, sounds like a bargain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So urgent, in fact, was the need to acquire the estate, and no doubt to aid secrecy, Sinclair paid for Bletchley Park out of his own pocket.
Dang.
The new tenants of Bletchley Park were to be the GC and CS, the Government Code and Cipher School, a signals intelligence agency which was founded in 1919 with the secret remit of studying methods of cipher communications used by foreign powers. Initially, their main target of interest had been the Soviet Union, although as the 1930s wore on, this switched to Hitler's Germany. In this capacity, Bletchley Park first saw action during the Munich crisis of autumn 1938. As Hitler ramped up pressure over the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia, a staff of around 70 people arrived at the estate to set up the new station, Station X as it became known, and begin deciphering German messages. Most of that early work was carried out here, within the mansion's drawing room. Although locals were aware Bletchley Park was now in government hands, there were vague claims it was related to air defence purposes. The small party who turned up in 1938 still used the cover. They called themselves Captain Ridley's Shooting Party, a group who'd supposedly travelled to Buckinghamshire for the grouse shooting season.
Oh, okay.
Today, this very British subterfuge lends its name to Bletchley's Wetherspoons pub.
Oh, that is awesome. That
Captain
is so
Ridley
cool.
and his friends were well catered for. Meals were taken here, in the mansion's grand dining room, the food prepared by a top chef who'd been brought up from London's Savoy Grill. Once World War II got underway, of course, the fare at Bletchley
ration,
would become
right?
a lot more frugal.
Yeah.
The Munich crisis ended with the appeasement of Hitler, prompting Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain to declare peace for our time, a statement that would soon prove tragically ironic.
Famous last words.
The Codebreakers then returned to London, although what they'd experienced at Bletchley proved to be a good dress rehearsal.
For what's to come, yeah.
Despite Neville Chamberlain's optimistic proclamation, there were many who, quite rightly of course, knew that war was inevitable. One of those was Commander Alistair Denniston, who was put in charge of Bletchley Park in the late 1930s. You can see his beautifully restored office inside the mansion. An affable man who loved chess and had a knack of dealing with difficult people, Alistair Denniston had been involved in code breaking since the earliest days of World War I, and he knew he was going to need some of the finest minds available, particularly those who are adept at languages, mathematics, and analytics. As such, he quietly began compiling a list of names, asking universities to identify and recommend those of the professor type who could be called upon once war erupted.
Gosh.
This included the likes of Gordon Welshman.
Before we continue, imagine getting that phone call from him, and you're at the university and say, hey, give me the names of people who you think, this is on the down low. It's hush hush, but, in case of war, we think there might be some issues down the road here. Because everything's so, everything's top secret. I love the name, the hunting party there. Oh, gosh. Mr. Captain Ridley's hunting party, was it? So, I love it. And I love the fact they've incorporated that into the name of the local pub there. If you're one of the, they're kids, really. If you're one of the young adults chosen, you must be just like, what is happening? Unbelievable. And it's just so, what a pivotal part they play in the whole grand scheme of things. Just remarkable. This is awesome. I love this.
William Tutt, Dilly Knox, and of course Alan Turing, more of whom soon. Once the war began, other methods of recruitment were used too. Some people were picked out through family connections, whilst others, displaying high intelligence, were identified during basic military training. Perhaps most creatively of all, in January 1942, the Daily Telegraph invited a group of unsuspecting participants to tackle this cryptic crossword at their Fleet Street offices. Anyone who managed it in under 12 minutes had their name quietly passed on to Bletchley Park.
Wow. That's awesome.
If earmarked, a potential Bletchley Park employee would be given a sealed envelope containing a train ticket with instructions to report to Bletchley Station at a certain date and time, where, once all other passengers had vacated the platform, they would be met by an official. The candidates would then be led towards the main gate, which in those days was here, at the end of Wilton Avenue. This alleyway provided a direct route from the station. The candidates would then be briefed and interviewed in a hut just outside the gate, and if they agreed to the offer, they'd be asked to sign the Official Secrets Act, after which they were then permitted to enter the Bletchley Park site.
Well, we gotta go back and see this here. This may seem a simple matter. It should be, but repeated experiences prove that it is not, even for the cleverest of us, even for the least important. Month after month, instances have occurred where, I'm going to say, leakers at Bletchley Park have been heard casually, or breakers, maybe it's breakers. Looks like something is smudged it or something. Leakers, breakers at Bletchley Park have been heard casually saying outside Bletchley Park things that are dangerous. It is not enough to know that you must not hint at these things outside. It must be uppermost in your mind every hour that you talk to outsiders. Even the most trivial seeming things matter. The enemy does not get his intelligence by real scoops, but from a whisper here and a tiny detail there. Therefore, do not talk at meals. Do not talk in the transport. Do not talk traveling. Do not talk in your billet. I'm not sure what billet. Why expect your hosts who are not pledged to secrecy to be more discreet than you? Who are you? You'll have to explain what a billet is. In your billet. Am I pronouncing that right? Do not talk by your own fireside. Be careful even in your hut. And I won't finish reading. I hereby promise that no word of mine shall betray, however slightly, the great trust placed on me. And you're signing that. That's wonderful. Look at that.
After which, they were then permitted to enter the Bletchley Park site.
Alan Turing and enigma. Right, the most famous thing, of course.
By the outbreak of World War II in September 1939, the art of military encryption was highly advanced. In Germany, the most famous system used to scramble sensitive messages was Enigma, which could trace its origins back to 1918. Since then, it had evolved into something which, with good reason, was considered unbreakable. Thousands of Enigma machines were built. Bletchley Park now has the world's largest collection of them. And although there were variations, they were essentially the same setup. A box containing a battery-powered device resembling a typewriter. As a message was entered, a series of rotating wheels combined with a plug board would jumble the words beyond all recognition, creating a coded message with up to 150 million possible combinations.
Wow.
The Enigma machines were used by all branches of the German military to send coded transmissions. This image shows one being used during the invasion of France in 1940. By the late 1930s, three brilliant Polish mathematicians, Marian Rejewski, Henryk Zygalski, and Jerzy Wojcicki, had essentially cracked Enigma and reverse-engineered a device, known as Bomber, to decipher messages.
Did I know this? I knew there were, I believe I do remember that, I don't know the names. The names, of course, I'm not going to remember. I can't even remember Vera Lynn, but and I vaguely remember learning that somehow that these guys, I want to say I'd heard that before. I can't be sure, but wow. Okay, I'm going to go back.
Known as Bomber, to decipher messages.
Bomber?
Shortly before the outbreak of World War II, they shared their findings with British and French intelligence, blessing those at Bletchley Park with a much-needed head start. Poland's great contribution in helping unravel the secrets of Enigma is now commemorated at the museum with this memorial.
Awesome.
On the eve of war, though, the Germans significantly beefed up Enigma, adding even more scrambling components to it.
Jeez.
Furthermore, the network settings were reset every day at midnight, meaning those trying to decipher its secrets had only 24 hours before being sent back to the drawing board.
Sounds impossible.
Nevertheless, a team of codebreakers, Dilly Knox, John Jeffries, Peter Twin, and Alan Turing, toiled away in a small set of cottages in the grounds of Bletchley Park, striving to crack the code.
Now, I've seen the movie and the Imitation Game, right? Imitation Game, I think is what it's called, with Cumberbatch. Good movie. I don't know how accurate it is, but it was a good movie. And I think in the movie they said, what is the one thing, right? One of the key aha moments was the Sieg Heil that they would always, or Heil Hitler or something, and they said at the end of every message or whatever. So they could always somehow then go from there, if I remember it correctly. But just, it seems so, such an astronomical leap to get somehow to understand the codes being sent, especially if you only have 24 hours. I mean, smart dudes and women. That's how.
It's worth noting at this point that radio transmissions were not directly intercepted at Bletchley Park. Instead, a network of so-called Y stations, which was spread across the country, would monitor enemy airwaves and jot down any Morse code transmissions they heard, which, having been scrambled by Enigma, would look like gobbledygook to Allied radio operators.
Right.
These notes would then be sent to Bletchley via either wireless, teleprinter, or in some cases, armed dispatch riders, who'd speed in and out of this discreet gate, where you can still see the remains of a sentry box tucked away behind St Mary's Church, on motorcycles. The Codebreakers' first breakthrough came on the 23rd of January 1940, when, whilst working in a small group of cottages, they managed to unravel the cipher key used by the German army. A similar breakthrough came in April 1940 in Hut 6, one of the utilitarian buildings which had been built to cope with the increasing demand on working space at Bletchley Park. However, due to the complexities and sheer numbers involved in cracking Enigma, the mathematician Gordon Welshman realised that the government code and cipher school would have to begin operating on an industrial scale if their work was to be of any use. The solution to this was the creation of a large electromechanical device called the bomb, which vastly improved upon the earlier Polish bomber.
Okay.
The bomb was designed by Alan Turing. You can see a collection of his blueprints for the device on display in Hut 11A. And in the National Museum of Computing, located in the northwestern corner of Bletchley Park, you can view a working replica. The machine itself was engineered by Harold Keane, who was nicknamed Doc, as for some eccentric reason he always carried a doctor's bag, and built by the British Tabulating Machine Company in Letchworth, Hertfordshire. Improvements to the bomb's efficiency, meanwhile, were implemented by Gordon Welshman. The first bombs at Bletchley were housed here in Hut 1, although they were soon transferred to Huts 11 and 11A, which, with concrete walls, afforded better protection.
If it gets out that this is where this
Over
is.
200 bombs were built, many of which were installed at Stanmore and Eastcote in northwest London, although all of the data they provided was sent to Bletchley for processing. In Bletchley's dark, austere Hut 11, rows of bombs would grind away 24 hours a day, swiftly decoding countless enemy messages. Each machine was meticulously maintained by a team of 2 women from the Women's Royal Navy Service, the Wrens. The machines gave off a ferocious heat, and this, combined with the noise and stench of cigarette smoke and engine oil, meant working here wasn't exactly pleasant.
I'm sure
So
body
much so
odor played
that
an
Hut
effect.
11 came to be nicknamed the Hellhole.
Yeah.
Once a message was decoded, the Wrens would note it down and send it to the next department for translation and analysis, a system which helped the Allies gain a broad overview of the enemy's plans and movements. This highly prized intelligence came to be dubbed Ultra.
Ultra.
Once compiled, Ultra intelligence was radioed out to military commanders from a wireless station based in this unassuming little hall, known as Windy Ridge, in the village of Wadden, about 3.5 miles west of Bletchley. Alan Turing, whose work on the computation and algorithms required to break the code at Bletchley laid the foundations for modern computing, went on to work in Hut 8, where you can see his modest office. It was from this hut that the German naval Enigma code was cracked, thus giving the Allies the upper hand in the Battle of the Atlantic. Whilst working in Hut 8, Alan Turing befriended fellow codebreaker Joan Clark, whose incredible talent had been spotted at Cambridge University by Gordon Welshman. Joan became a specialist at Banbarismus, a cryptanalytic process developed by Turing, and her work saved many Royal Navy ships from German U-boat attack. Despite being gay, Alan Turing, no doubt largely due to the social pressures which existed during that era, proposed to Joan in 1941.
I wonder if they're gonna mention him tonight in that segment. I mean, really a shame what happened to him. Really is.
However, he soon confided in her about his sexuality, and the engagement was called off. Nevertheless, the pair remained close friends until Alan Turing's tragically early death at the age of 41 in 1954.
Horrible. I imagine there's a lot of drinking.
As the war dragged
mean-
on, Bletchley Park expanded rapidly.
So much stress.
The mansion and surrounding small wooden huts soon proved inadequate for the demands of Ultra, and so, in 1941, 3 large new blocks were built. Block A came to be home to the naval section. It was from here that the enemy's activities at sea were plotted on large nautical charts. Block B came to accommodate those working on Italian and Japanese ciphers. Today,
Wow.
Block B serves as Bletchley's main museum section, which includes an area devoted to Alan Turing's work on computer science. You can even see Porgy, his teddy bear, who he'd practiced lectures in front of.
Ugh.
Block C, meanwhile, which now forms the museum's main entrance, housed large holorith punch card machines, which were used to rapidly analyse codes and data. Despite being a huge site, none of those who worked at Bletchley Park actually lived here. Many were billeted to homes, hotels and pubs within the surrounding area. Alan Turing, for example, lodged here at what used to be the Crown Inn in Shenley Brook End, which, like Bletchley, is now part of Milton Keynes. Others lived in barracks, which were spread across 2 neighbouring RAF camps. Today, you can see a surviving example of such a building, which once formed part of a much larger hostel, on the corner of Wilton Avenue and Church Green Road. This hutch used to house female residents, and today it's now Bletchley Driving Test Centre.
Ah,
Because so many people lived
That's
off-site,
funny.
transport was provided around the clock to facilitate travel to and from the base. This operated from the large garage beside the mansion's stable yard, and if you head there today, you can view several vintage vehicles, including this beautiful Packard 6 sedan, which dates from 1940 and was used by MI6,
nice.
and this 1938 Austin ambulance. Although the hours were long and exhausting, recreation and time to unwind was encouraged at Bletchley Park. There was the lovely lake to rest by, of course, along with tennis courts and many clubs devoted to sports and hobbies. As part of this ethos, this building, Wilton Hall, was built beside the original main gate in 1943. It served as an assembly hall where Bletchley Park workers could enjoy dancing, film screenings, and amateur dramatic productions, which, despite the high secrecy, were open for locals to attend.
Oh, wow.
Wilton Hall went on to lead a very interesting life. In the 1960s, it became a renowned music venue. The Rolling Stones, Lulu, Gene Vincent, and
Wow.
Pink Floyd all
That's
played
cool.
here. Wilton Hall is still in use today. It now hosts events such as weddings, school proms, and other parties.
Nice. Nice to see it continue. Tommy Flowers and Colossus.
Enigma wasn't the only code staff at Bletchley Park managed to crack. In 1940, those working at the Y stations intercepted transmissions from an altogether different type of cipher machine, messages which the Codebreakers came to dub Fish, and the mysterious machine transmitting them, Tunny. Tunny was in fact this formidable looking bit of kit, the Schutzelsatz, meaning cipher attachment, you'll have to forgive my German, which was manufactured by the Berlin-based Lorenz Electrical Company. The Lorenz machine was hyper-secure and used solely by a handful of those in the Nazi High Command, including Hitler himself.
Oh, wow.
In the
Okay.
late summer of 1941, a German operator made a critical error when asked to resend a 4,000 character long transmission on the Lorenz machine. Seemingly disgruntled at having to do it all over again, the operator didn't reset the system as required
no.
and resorted to speeding up typing by using abbreviations. By comparing these two similar transmissions, codebreaker John Tiltman, a man so intelligent he'd been offered a place at Oxford at the age of just 13, managed to crack the Lorenz code within 10 days.
Dang.
As with Enigma though, a fast modern method was required if any sense was to be truly made of Lorenz, and this is where a fellow named Tommy Flowers comes in. Born into poverty in London's East End in 1905, Tommy Flowers rose to become an accomplished electrical engineer, eventually working at the Post Office Research Station, which was based in Dollis Hill. Tommy first came to Bletchley Park's attention in 1941 when Alan Turing sought help designing a certain component for the bomb machine. Turing was impressed with his work, and in 1943 he introduced Tommy Flowers to Max Newman, who was working on the Lorenz cipher. In designing a machine to decode Lorenz, Tommy proposed the creation of a sophisticated system using vacuum tubes. In other words, one of the world's first electronic computers, an incredible advancement for the time. Despite some skepticism, the senior figures at Bletchley encouraged Tommy Flowers to attempt building such a machine, although he had to contribute some of the funding himself. His first machine was called Robinson, named after the artist Heath Robinson, whose illustrations often featured complex, whimsical contraptions, and like Turing's bomb, a working replica can be seen at the National Museum of Computing, as can this mural of Tommy Flowers, which was rescued from a London pub. The Robinson design proved successful, and after being refined at Dollis Hill, Tommy Flowers' larger machine, known as Colossus due to its size, this is a working replica, was installed at Bletchley Park in January 1944. Just 6 months later, Colossus played a crucial role in supplying intelligence for the D-Day landings, and even provided an insight into Hitler's thinking. Sadly, despite its historical significance, Block F, which housed the Colossus machines, was demolished in 1987.
Oh.
The former site is now adjoined by the aptly named Flowers Park.
I mean, that's cool and all, but it sure would have been nice to... It's always interesting hearing buildings being demolished. Considering it's like through history, you all don't demolish anything. That's something we would do here. We would just tear it down, without thinking twice. But just smart. It's so hard to grasp how smart these individuals are that work on this sort of thing. And it's one thing being smart and using the technology, that's already existed, right? That, like today's smart people. But back then, they're super duper smart, but yet they're also creating the technology, which is just, it's mind-boggling how intelligent these people were. And thank goodness for them.
Once the war ended, operations at Bletchley Park were wound down very quickly.
Yeah?
Despite providing critical intelligence that saved countless lives and is estimated to have shortened the war by 2 years, those who worked here were never allowed to speak of their work, and in most cases, the vow of secrecy they swore was taken to the grave.
Impressive.
After World War II, the buildings at Bletchley Park were repurposed as a training centre for teachers, post office workers, and air traffic controllers. What had happened here in World War II only began to emerge in the mid-1970s, and even then, there were limits on what could be revealed. Over the decades, many of the buildings fell into disrepair, and being such a large site, a number remain in a state of decay today. In 1991 though, Milton Keynes declared Bletchley Park to be a conservation area, and in 1993, the site opened to the public as a museum, finally allowing us to uncover the remarkable stories of the hidden heroes who worked here all those years ago.
So 1993. Wow. So glad they did. Beautiful. That was really good. Thank you, Rob. I'm going to jump out. Go support Robslondon. It's so important that you get over there and support the original content. That was a great video. A lot of information. It's just, those people were truly remarkable. And of course, without them, nothing but bad was probably going to happen. They said there that they kind of factored that it would be, they lessened the war by 2 years. That's incredible. Imagine how many lives that is. But yeah, it's just, for not a smart person like myself, it's hard to look at the machines they built and just, it's like, oh man, their brains just work on a whole nother level that it's certainly people who are that intelligent who, it's definitely God-given. It's like someone being able to run really fast or jump really high. But it's the mind power that they have, and to be able to see things in such a different way than we do. Me, I can't speak for anybody else, but it's crazy. And thank goodness for them, for sure. We honor those and many others who are working on this sort of thing. Thank you. Really. Hopefully they get some love tonight. For sure. Enjoy the festival. Tomorrow, and then tomorrow, Sunday, is the March Past, which is always wonderful to see. So I'll be watching those next week. Probably see some videos on what this weekend is going on and doing and is about, and I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Just a reminder, live stream is earlier this month. It is not the last Sunday, it's the second to last Sunday. It's from Fort Collins. Keep an eye out. I'll post notice when we get closer to that. I hope everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. All right, bye-bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. And he's from